every industry that I speak to is dealing with this issue of how do we get more diversity to the top of the organization and through the organization, because we know that that produces better results. Some of the things that I've heard that organizations have done, things like that performance review, you know, make sure that people are hearing what you want them to hear in the performance review. The other thing that I found, and this actually came out of the engineering industry, so kind of related, which I think is really interesting, is that women will often respond to a nudge from the organization in taking a risk. Encouraging women kind of in their 20s and 30s to get used to the habit of taking risks, I think is really, really helpful. So Google, for example, in their engineering department found that women in the organization were not applying for promotions as often as men were. Now, we know this is the case. Women don't apply for promotions as much. They don't apply for pay raises as much as men do. So they started in the engineering department sending out letters to women to nudge them to apply for a promotion. Hey, you know, we know it's been a couple of years and, you know, you're on track. There's these other jobs coming up. They had all the data, so they're Google. So they would kind of put it together. And they found that in the months when they sent this letter out to the women engineers, the women were applying for promotions as much as the men were. They only had to not send that letter out for a month or a couple of months, and the rate of women applying for promotions declined. So it does show what you can do as an organization to encourage women to take risks, to go for promotions, to go for stretch assignments. And sometimes a nudge can be really effective like that. I think that is something that organizations, we just need to be thinking, how do we inculcate this risk-taking habit amongst people who might be a bit reluctant to take risks? And then the discussion has to also be about, with risk comes the potential for failure, right? I mean, it's going to happen. At some point, something's not going to go right. And what's the process then? Let's have a discussion about what that process is. What's the safety net? How do we get people back on track? Who knows? Who's in the discussions? I think all of that, being a bit more transparent about all of that, that can be really helpful.